Okay, now we got to get on to Vice President JD Vance making headlines over some comments he made when it comes to the war in Iran and also Pope Leo. At a Turning Point USA event last night at the University of Georgia, Ariana Manise covering that for us this morning. But you know, Ariana, this event almost didn't even happen.
Yeah, that's right. We learned that last night from Vice President JD Vance. When he spoke to the crowd, he said that organizers considered canceling the event hours before, but they consulted with Secret Service and decided to move forward. And he pointed to threats tied to the event and also the threats that Erica Kirk says that she's been facing, and that's one of the reasons why she was not in attendance and she was expected to attend. And he defended Erica Kirk and everything that's been happening around her and her family, and he said, hey, I do understand her reasoning for not attending the event. He spoke about how they just decided to move forward. They said the Secret Service, they do a good job, but they wanted to keep this event moving forward. Now, this was all part of a multi-city college tour that Turning Point USA has been doing to engage with young voters ahead of the midterm elections. And also, of course, an important stop here in Georgia because we have a big governor's race coming up. I do want to let you listen to what he said in regards to Erica Kirk. Take a listen.
I know that politics is hard, and I know that it's challenging, and I know that things aren't always easy, and we're going to have disagreements even within our coalition. But if you're going after Erica Kirk and not the people who are trying to destroy the United States of America, you're part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Kirk posted on X last night saying, in part, I was so looking forward to tonight's event, but after all our family has been through, I take my security team's recommendations extremely seriously. Thank you to our Georgia chapter for your support. God bless. Now, meanwhile, we know this event was about engaging with young voters ahead of the midterm election. So we did see the vice president actually open the floor to the audience. He did some Q&A with members who were there, with people who were in attendance. They spoke about global conflict, the war in Iran, and at times it did get intense. And people are, kind of second guessing something that the vice president said. They are kind of raising their eyebrows. It is in regards to that back and forth we're seeing between President Trump and Pope Leo. Pope Leo has been outspoken about war. And last night, JD Vance said that he should be careful, and he should be careful when he speaks about matters of theology.
The Pope?
Yes,
okay.
On theology.
I think that it's important, in the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful, you've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth, and that's one of the things that I try to do, and it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant.
Yeah, so that is one of the things that the vice president says that is making headlines this morning. And it's also important to note that outside of the event, we did see some protesters, and it was a protest led by UGA Young Democrats. Other organizations partnered with that organization, and they said that this was in opposition to the event and to call out the vice president for the failures of the Trump administration. It's also important to note that this event did not happen at UGA. It happened a mile away from UGA. So.
Okay. You know how Charlie Kirk would often engage with folks of differing opinions,
yes,
and I wonder if any of the opposition actually entered the chambers last night and spoke to the vice president.
Well, that was some of the intense. I wouldn't say it was a conversation or Q&A. It was more so someone shouting out from the crowd.
Okay.
In regards to Gaza. I don't know if we have that soundbite. If we can.
So more comments, less questions.
Yes, but there were questions. There were respectful questions. It seems as if most of the back and forth was very respectful, asking how the Republican Party can unite, how the Republican Party can engage more with young voters, about housing, affordability. So the back and forth that we saw was respectful. The shouting from the crowd, that wasn't a part of the Q&A session that the vice president hosted. But it was nice to see the vice president take some questions, because how often does a student or young voter have that moment to ask a world leader a question about politics?
No kidding. And kudos to those students who stepped up there to ask the question. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Ariana.